And welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy, and can I just say that I was watching your head bobbing to the music, and because I can't hear the music in my headphones, all I could think was that you're listening to Everybody's Working for the Weekend.
A
In my
little bit, a
head, that's what you're listening to.
little bit of Loverboy.
A
Yeah.
little bit of Loverboy.
I
So,
don't
welcome
know
to
why.
episode 206. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about what happens if you're in a gaming group you don't like, or they've done something that's not appropriate, or whatever. Excuse me. And how to handle it, and what are your boundaries? Also, that's another thing you can talk about is boundaries, because I'll be bringing up something that did happen in one of my games that I was playing in, and it kind of passed a boundary that I was not happy about.
And
Uh,
and I think we've all had games, that we've played in where that's happened.
oh yeah. So just a way to do that. Before we get started, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors, Muson Minis, for hosting all of our files and getting things out there for people. And make sure that you go check them out. You can click the link, or you can go to their website and type "More Than Dice," all one word, and get 10% off of everything you order on there. And we want to thank Mini Masterworks. You use the link and our code More Than Dice MW10, I think is what it is. MMW10. And you can get 10% off your order there, and he has some really awesome products, which everybody has been buying the Vortex mixer. Anytime I get an email that someone's bought something, the Vortex
Oh,
mixer is
nice.
automatically like one of the. I can tell based on the pricing of what we get, which is good.
I need to
Um,
get one of those.
Me
I
too.
thoroughly enjoy this thing. I think this thing is incredibly awesome. I love it to death. Um, do we have any tributes this week, John?
I'm not off the top of my head, but my week was a motherfucker, so I wasn't really paying attention.
I didn't see anything either, so
Oh,
I
something
don't know.
happened and I don't remember. Darn it. This is what I get for not writing things down.
I don't remember it. I
Hi,
didn't see
Mo's
anything
Magic.
either. So hey, Mose. So other than that, let's get down to the real business and what everybody wants to know about. John, what are you drinking?
I have another gin mule, this time with the most gingery of ginger beer that company offers. So extra, extra gingery.
Can't stand ginger beer. Yeah, and
Ginger
you
beer
know
is
me.
awesome.
I drink beer, just can't stand ginger beer.
I can't stand regular beer.
Oh, there you go. Well, ginger beer isn't actually beer,
Yes,
so,
I
you
know.
know.
I know it
Kathy,
tastes good.
what do you?
So I remembered who it was who passed.
Oh,
Ivan Reitman.
Oh
oh, that's
shit,
right.
yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
I felt like that was last week, but no, it was this week. It
No,
was
he
like
was.
Monday.
Yeah.
It was like right after the cast, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it was
Yeah.
like right after we got done because you were like, "Oh yeah, I saw that during the podcast."
Yeah.
Type thing. Yeah, Ivan Reitman. Which mostly known for what, John?
Producer of Ghostbusters and Stripes.
Yes.
And other things.
Yes, a lot of other things, but those were the
But
ones he's
those are
most.
the yeah. Also, if you haven't seen Stripes,
Oh, Stripes.
oh, I don't
That's a good.
know. I mean, it's dated. Let's face it.
Oh
A lot of
yeah.
those movies are. I mean, it's hard to find them
It's it's
that
it's
aren't
uh
dated nowadays. Oh,
it's
holy shit!
funny.
He was producer on Heavy Metal also.
Oh, I didn't know
Wow.
that.
I did not know that either.
Hmm.
Space Jam
So I'm drinking hot chocolate.
With
I mean,
with us.
with heavy whipping cream,
heavy whipping cream.
because it just makes it even creamier.
Don't talk to you about dated. Oh, we're going to, but we're going to wait to the media section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Um.
my God, and I know what she's talking about.
Oh yeah. So I told her that I was sending her all the text messages she sent me to y'all, so y'all could laugh and crack up at it as everything was going on. So we'll get to that. I am doing a Macallan's Scotch, like
Mm,
usual.
yum.
Guys, Adepticon's right around the corner. If you haven't gotten your vaccine, you gotta get it. If you need to, go get your booster. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Wear a mask. If you go out anywhere, just be careful. That's the
Yep.
kicker right now. And we're not even just talking about the vaccine. Just be careful. We like seeing everybody here. We like hearing about it. We like hearing that people listen to the channel, which someone this weekend said they listened to us on their drive. And I'm like, cool. That's kind of neat.
Awesome.
Which is actually kind of fun. So please be careful. Please be safe. From all of us to all of you, cheers.
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 That's really good.
Mm.
Whew. All right, I'm going to go and switch over to the paint cam. Because I do need to get started on these miniatures because I do have to get these all done before Adepticon, which is not going to be too hard. I don't have a lot, but I do want to get in on there. But before we get started on the topic, I actually brought Warcaster. So I had a small convention this weekend, and I was running the War Machine and Hordes event, and so I brought Warcaster so people could test it out and try it, type thing. And tried this with one lady. She loved it. She thought it was amazing. Thought it was a lot of fun. Thought it was really quick and easy. Asked the price point value type thing. And, well, her and her husband are bought into the game now. So I'm like, score. But they found out that everybody in their meta also plays it. They just don't. Nobody's talked about it. And I'm like,
They all
guys.
play it separately.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was like,
Like
no-
in the closet, away
Yeah.
from other people, because they're ashamed.
well, I guess they've been having problems with their local store. Their local store doesn't stay open past 8 o'clock. And, of course, you don't get much playtime when you're off at 5 and then
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, it's been kind of an issue.
I mean, I understand because they're probably having to pay people. I mean, my experience running a store, I was the one who worked after 8. I'll be honest, the days I left there before, well, earlier in the week I'd get off okay, but later in the week I wouldn't leave until like fucking 1 a.m. Sometimes later, depending on what people were playing.
Yeah. But, I thought it was really good because I introduced them to the game. They really liked it. They thought it was fun. And I was like, good. And then they bought 2 starter sets and some models. And I'm like, even better.
Cool.
So I just was like, cool. More people to play a game I like.
Yeah. That's also a good lesson to make sure if you like a game, talk to it. Make sure people know you're playing it. Be like, shout that shit out there. Get on your social medias and just post about the game you're playing. If you're ashamed, quote unquote, to be posting on your social medias, you need to look at your circle of friends on there. And, you know, knowing it works is a damn thing with any of my hobbies because I don't fucking care.
Well, that's actually a topic that's come up quite a bit recently is people getting back into gaming because, of course, some stores are opening up and, like, in the War Machine and Hordes area, people are like, oh, I'm coming back in and get to play some and stuff like this. And one guy's like, well, why? Because nobody plays the game. And they're like, we have a ton of people play the game, just nobody's been playing.
Yeah, just
I'm
because you don't play the game anymore and you're not hooked into that group doesn't mean they don't still play.
Correct.
I'm bringing back what we were trying to make big in 2019 before COVID shit all over us. Let people have their fun.
Yeah.
You don't have to shit on a game just because you don't like it. It's okay. Let them have their fun. You know, our buddy came in, one of our guys from role-playing groups, like, hey, what are you guys playing nowadays? I'm like, well, mostly we're playing Marvel Crisis Protocol, some other games here or there, but that's the big one the majority of us are playing. So he's like, oh, I'm not really interested in getting into that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Is what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
And
what was interesting about the whole topic, because I was at this convention, and Kings of War, 40K, MCP, and War Machine and Hordes were the bigger ones, and then somebody had like a 4-man old school Warhammer.
the old world.
Oh, rank and flank.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do that, and it's like, okay, cool.
I think they call it fifth age or something like that.
Yeah.
Or ninth
Ninth
age.
age.
Yeah.
Ninth age?
Yeah, ninth age, because eighth edition was the last one, so they're going to
Yeah.
ninth age. At least until the Warhammer: The Old World comes out, which we think is going to be, a revisit of that, but we'll see.
I have heard people call it Old Hammer too. So
Yeah, Old Hammer is a good name for it as well. There's a lot of people who,
Yeah.
if you hashtag Old Hammer, they'll still put models together. It's cool. I mean, another one, and we could turn this into a cast. I don't think we want to, but just because the rules are discontinued, don't mean you can't continue to play the game, especially in the age of 3D printing.
yeah.
But
You can find models everywhere for all sorts of things, and you can play whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, because the topic came up about 40K and, the price hike and all this other stuff and everything. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, I don't play the game. So they're like, well, what do you think about it? And I'm like,
I mean, we don't really. I mean, I think they have great models. I want to buy a couple of the models for Eldar and paint them. Will it turn into an army? Maybe, maybe not. Who fucking knows? Also, who cares? I don't need that many models. Don't want that many models anymore. I'd like to play smaller scale games. You get a lot more bang for your buck, so to speak. You have a lot more time to, like, if I'm spending all this time on a model, like, so we're more than halfway through February, and I painted precisely 4 models this year, and I don't feel bad about it because I'm playing smaller scale games, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
If I was just playing, 40K, 4 models is fucking nothing.
yeah, that's
You're like, oh, so you're what, like, maybe a third of the way through a fucking unit at best?
Oh yeah, one squad.
one squad.
Half
Yeah.
of one squad.
At this rate, you'll be playing time for 14th edition.
See, this is why I pin my models to the base instead of attaching them outright, so that I can take them off to paint on them. I had to do that with my ogres because they're big, and I wanted to be sure I could reach all the places on them where I wanted to paint.
Wait, so you're telling me on a model like Magneto, I shouldn't have glued him all the way on and then tried to and then painted the cloak while he's on and all?
You know what? Some people do that, and that's fine. In fact, I do that. I've been doing that to a lot of my models lately. I painted the entire Holly monster and her fox on a base, on a plinth, and that seems to work out fine. So
have the cloak separate for Magneto. Trust me. Keep the cloak fucking separate.
There's some good advice.
Voice of experience. Like, Vision was a pain. Magneto's next level pain. Enchantress is okay. Mr. Sinister assemble. You'll notice, of course, there is no cloak on Mr. Sinister because I kept that shit separate. So, anyways, but yes.
But yeah, with my ogres, I had them pinned to the bases because I wasn't done painting them, and I didn't want to wait until I was done painting them until I could play, because I could already feel my excitement for the game waning as the months went on while I was painting. And I'm like, look, I just need to play. Otherwise, I'm gonna just get onto something else.
And this is why you don't try and gatekeep or shame people who are playing with unpainted models.
Yes.
Let them keep their fucking excitement.
Yes, 100%. If you want to bring plastic models to game with me, and you know that mine are going to be 100% painted, actually it probably won't be 100% painted. Let's face it.
There's a guy locally who would only play people who are fully painted. Like, okay, cool, dude, that's your choice. I mean, it's likely you'll never
you're
play
missing
me,
out
but
on some great games. I'm here to tell you, but
that's your call. Do your thing. I mean, I choose currently to play only fully painted for Marvel Crisis Protocol, which made my buddy Spencer, who came back, like, what? But, it's just because I've gotten enough painted, and I'm just going to paint stuff and add it and paint stuff and add it.
If I want immersion in my Warhammer universe, I will do the role play.
Yes. But do what you want. I mean, so there you go. Let people keep their excitement. Don't shame. You shouldn't be shaming for any of that shit anyways. Fucking, we're all just playing with toy soldiers, for the Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
If you're that serious about your toy soldiers, then what's that phrase? Oh yes, you will not be missed. It's not serious business.
It's so serious.
It's not. We're having fun here.
Having fun, damn it.
In fact, I could turn this into a bigger rant, but I won't.
Because we're having fun.
Because we're having fun.
I'm enjoying watching Gonzo paint the little black details on this
Yeah.
model.
I like his masochist models.
I think that
Black and blue, bruised. Masochist.
You know what's funny is I took these for people
I
to play
just
with
went over my head.
for the demo
Well, I
table.
caught it and brought it down for you. There you go.
Thank
can have
you,
it.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes I need that help.
Someone at work said my dad jokes are off the chain, and I'm not even a dad. And I'm like, hey, skills.
Look, you've got it or you don't, and you have it. So
They're not really purple at all, Catamizzies. That's really blue. And they may be in person, but I can only judge by what I see.
Yeah, they're
through
actually
my
much more
monitor.
purple because what's funny is when I put this on the table and was playing with it, the lady I was playing with, she goes, "Is that purple on there?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Is that blue on there?" "Yeah." She picked it up and goes, "Where'd the oh, okay, that's
it's
pretty
magic.
cool."
It's magic.
And they were like,
Oh.
"That's pretty cool."
It's
It is pretty cool.
magic.
It's very cool. Anyways, Bruce is at purple too, and got like
It's
galaxies.
true. Like galaxies, exactly.
So this may come as a shock to everyone, but I try to avoid bruises actively.
I try to avoid them too, but that doesn't mean that I've experienced some in my time, and they have looked like galaxies.
I try not to look at them. If you look at them, then your mind remembers that that's supposed to hurt. What? Damn it! I'm a man raised in the fucking 80s. I have standards I have to maintain of being a quote-unquote tough guy.
Look,
I'm
I
not
can look
supposed
at
to
my
show
bruises
pain.
and they still don't hurt.
I mean, that's because women are technically speaking tougher than guys, no matter what guys might think. Much better with pain.
Yep.
A lot of things hurt. I just try not to show it. Anyways, let's get past the psychoanalyzing bullshit.
Let's go ahead and go with our topic
Oh,
because
how about that?
that came up and it was an interesting topic that went on with it and kind of was like in the middle of the night, and then John popped in at like 6 o'clock in the morning when we were talking about it.
That'd be 5 in the morning your time.
It was
Yeah.
the in the middle of the night chat of why oh why do people think role playing is in a role playing game like group therapy?
Yes, so it was Wednesday at 11:18 p.m. my time, which I'll point out I was in bed.
Yeah, John
So
just
my
comes
phone
back
doesn't-
and goes, "Oh, I'll
My
look at it."
phone does not come on. Does not. I silence my phone at night. If you ever
Yeah.
need to reach me, you need to call my ass 3 times in a row, so it'll get through the damn quiet mode. Because otherwise, every little 11:18 vibration of my phone on my stand will wake my ass up.
That's
That
me.
won't work.
Muted. Except for last night, I forgot to do that, and like at 2 a.m., Jim sent me a message, and but
So yes. So do you want to go over what happened, Kathy? Since you brought it on, you brought it up. Let's say.
So I've played in a group that is super into the role playing and very sort of anti
They're super into role
violence.
playing.
Really?
The ROLE, and not so much into the role playing ROLL.
Yeah, they're very much like getting into the persona of their characters and acting but also psychoanalyzing their characters and their motivations. And it's hard for me to just come up with a general motivation for my character sometimes. Like what motivates you to do things? I don't know. I don't even know that in real life. People are asking me to have goals for my characters, and I'm like, I don't even have goals in real life. I'm one of those people that finds it very difficult to do that.
So, like, that's something that might come up in the course of role playing, and it's fine if it does. but it should be a deep and just sudden moment of this is why my character does what they do because this shit's no good and the character has to act, that kind of thing. It's
Like some moment of self-discovery,
yeah,
some kind of
or
realization.
it's rare that
Yeah.
we come up with the backstory deep enough that would explain, well, why did your character become a paladin? Fucking, I don't know, likes justice. Fucking, like, stabbing motherfuckers for justice sounded like a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't always think about that. Like, I'm a paladin. Like, that's sometimes it's beyond the scope of what you want, and that's actually important for role playing. It's something we get away from, and something that's very well covered in. And I'm going to go on a slight rant here. In session zero, some of those old school role players have been shitting on Twitter, like, "Oh, you need session zero." Like, no, session zero is important. That is where you discuss what basically you all expect from the game, what tone you're going to have, and what you're looking for, so that this issue doesn't come up. Because if you've discussed it all, then no one's surprised. Like, oh, we're going to go really deep into our backstories and motivations and all that. It'll be a lot of freeform role playing, but not a lot of
Dice
killing the
rolling.
monsters or taking their loot.
Yeah.
That way,
Dungeon.
someone can go, oh, interesting. That's not my cup of tea, or that is my cup of tea, and I will join you or politely decline based on that.
Or say, hey, I'm not as into that. Could we take it in? Could we add some of this too, so
Yeah.
that they all know and maybe they agree that yes, okay, since you like to do that, we can have some of this in here too. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, we have to read the room with that. You have to go, everyone's really into this, so you can propose it, but sometimes you read the room and go, like, they're all really into this. I'm just going to politely bow out. I'm not trying to change the world. I will, especially for a lot of people who have lots of role playing groups and have no shortage of invites. Kathy seems to be very popular in the role playing, which is good.
I have, okay, speaking to the how do you leave a group where you love the people but now I have an in-person game invite. So I've been playing with these people online and I like the people but I have these friends of mine who I used to play with.
And they're impersonating again.
Who have now in-personing again on Wednesday nights. And
Now you have a conflict of schedule.
yeah, so I'm like,
there's the easy way through this, and I know it's all easier said than done. Don't no one tell me it's easier said than done. People tell me that all the time, and I fucking know that. Just be honest. Like, hey, my in-person group's turning up again. I love you guys. I love playing with you, but
In person.
I've got an in-person game,
yeah.
and we're only going to do it this time. I can't do both. I'm sorry.
I miss my games where I'm punching my friend Jack in the shoulder for doing, crazy stupid things like murder hoboing the guy on the doorstep when we knocked on the door and he answered it and he just shot him before we could talk to him.
It's fine if it's in character.
It totally is. But,
you're still like, we want to talk to him.
The weird foods that he would bring to the games, and he would bring Limburger cheese and sit next to me. He always sat on my left.
That's called a party foul.
Or the time he brought a quart of chicken liver soup.
Ugh. That doesn't even sound appetizing ever.
He has a very interesting palate.
Either that, or he is the absolute
worst
best troll ever. Like,
well, I mean,
100% Slam Duncan troll master.
He absolutely is that too.
Okay. So he's going like, I like chicken liver soup. I'm gonna fuck with everyone by bringing it to the game.
Oh yeah. He knows Kathy doesn't care for that kind of stuff.
Hey, Ninja.
But it's not like he's telling me, wow, you should have some. No, he'll just eat it. And I'm like, oh my God, do I have to? And I give him a hard time for that. So, oh, hey, John. So, I miss that.
Yes. So you miss, but that's fair. Be honest. Like, in all these cases, the best way to gracefully exit a group is to be honest. Say, hey, the game's not going the way I like, or this has come up, just tell them the absolute
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're your friends. You've been
You know
role-playing with
what?
them. They're
And
gonna understand.
it's funny you say that because I remember, was it 20, it was early 2020, it was, no, it was mid, it was in the summer. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So Jack, the guy who sits next to me in our
Hmm.
old Monday night games, he decided to try and take over running the game, and after our GM's death.
Yes.
So he started running it, and I love Jack, but his game was not one that I wanted to play. The way he was running the game was absolutely not. I wasn't having fun. I was irritated at the end
Yeah.
of it instead of happy.
Yeah.
What was irritating though? What was different?
That's a hell of a role playing
So
ground. So
Well,
what?
no. What was irritating about his running of the game? What was wrong with it?
Well, I don't know that there's anything wrong with
Well,
it, but what was
not your
irritating to
style.
me was, so he's been playing the game since it was invented. Okay, he's like my dad's age, you know. He's in his 70s, and he's
he's an
been
old
playing.
grognard.
Yeah, he's an old grognard, literally. And and so he had never run a game before. Not like for a group of people that wasn't in a tournament setting, because he always used to run the he was a tournament judge for D&D games at Gen Con. And those are the games where you have a group of people and you sign up for the tournament, and each table has a judge running this group through, and they all run through the same adventure, and the judge gives them points based on things they accomplish or how many people survived, or just various things. I've never played it that way, so I don't know. Jack was just explaining it to me
Yeah.
once, and
It's
it's kind of like
yeah.
that. But it's timed. So you have a certain amount of time to play through this adventure and accomplish, X number of goals and not die, or, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how he's running our whatever module that he was running us through. And so if people paused to just think about what they are doing, he'd be like, you need to make a decision, because if we didn't make a decision fast enough, something would happen. Something, in quotes, would happen, and it probably wouldn't be good. Like something attacking you, or
Yeah. That's
something
not.
happening. Like you basically would get punished for not thinking faster.
It's a very particular style, and this one a lot of people would not necessarily like.
So, and I'm not a fast thinking person in some situations, and one of the guys we were playing with is very uh OCD. Like he's very particular, and he takes a lot of time deliberating about some of the things that he's doing, and so he ended up dying like 3 times just in the few weeks we were playing before I quit.
Oh,
And I felt bad for that guy. And that was actually making me angry, just how he was being treated. So, I was like, this just isn't
yeah.
worth it on a number of levels.
Yeah.
But you know
If you're
what I
not having
did?
fun,
I told him that's why I was stepping away. I made sure that he knew that it wasn't any hard feelings or that I was mad at him or anything, because it wasn't. It was just a
no.
play style that I wasn't enjoying.
Remember, for the most part, things aren't personal unless one side or the other makes it personal, and there's no reason in most cases to make that personal.
And I look forward to the next time I can sit next to him as players playing in somebody else's game.
Yeah. So the best way, like literally, like Kathy said, is you just tell them exactly like this is why I'm stepping away, and I'm not calling them out. Make it clear. Be as blunt as possible. Sometimes people are trying to look. You're trying too hard to salve someone's feelings. Don't, but don't be like rude about it. Just tell them straight up. Blunt and truthful goes a long way. If you're like, hey, I don't have time, or I stopped me and not Brush Dave stopped playing Castles and Crusades because we're like, it's really not our thing. It's like too much like first edition D&D, AD&D, and that's not a good system anymore. We love that you guys are loving it. Not really our thing. We're going to step away. And enjoy the game. We're not trying to change what you're doing. You like the game system. Why are we trying to change it? We're just going to wander off and do something else. Enjoy.
Hmm.
You know,
That
no hard
that
feelings.
that ended up happening, I think, with our Shadowrun game, where it just kind of
Petered.
fell apart. Just
Yeah,
you know.
people try too hard to not, to save people's feelings when you don't. If they're taking it personally, and I hate to be blunt about this, that's their fucking problem,
Yeah.
not yours. If you're being earnest and nice and respectful, and they decide to take it personally, they have the problem, not you. You can't control how they're feeling things. So don't worry about that. Just make sure that you communicate your position clearly, and at the end of it, they'll make the decision they make.
So what about Gonzo's story about leaving a group?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm like been playing for 50 billion years, and I've played every type of system known that I can think of. And one of the topics that I don't have a problem with, but I know that there's a limit that I'll do. We were playing Vampire the Masquerade. I love
Mm.
playing Vampire. I think it's a great game system. It's a good storytelling system, so on and so forth. And I'm sitting there playing it, and I had a character, and we were in a club, and this guy was like, "Hey, I want to go try to seduce, this person, one, so I can feed, and two, because I'm a horn dog." I'm like, I wasn't the GM, I was a player, and no big deal. I don't have a problem with that. Until they came up and they were like describing the sex in detail. Like, I'm gonna take my fang and pierce clit, and I'm like, no, no. I looked at them and I said, guys, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm like, I don't care if you want to, but I'm not going to sit here and listen to you two role play out a sex scene and
Hi,
do
Yeah.
stuff
baby.
like that. Um, as John puts it, as we did it in the pre ramble, the boot scene.
Yeah, the
Like,
boot scene. Like, I mean, we told about how Dragonlance. There's a scene with Tannis and Kataria where obviously she's flirting with him, and then it fades, and the next scene they're in together, he's putting his boots on.
yeah,
No one has any illusions about what happened there. Everyone knows.
yeah.
You don't need it. It's not that kind of book. I mean, granted, I've read mostly vampire style books that have the much more detailed. And if that's your thing, that's your thing.
Yeah.
But that's not really role playing topic.
Or if it is, I don't want to be a part of it.
That should
That's
definitely
one
be.
of your session zero discussions right
Yep.
there.
Which, a lot of recently, I've been, whenever time we get something, I was like, one of the topics is, what's a trigger that you don't want to cover in, a game or something that's going to happen type
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
And you're like, well, I really don't want to have anything that has to do with rape. I'm like, okay, I get that. No
One
problem.
of my
That's-
friends was like, I don't, she said, I don't want to play anything, where there's romance. I don't want like great romances
Well, do you not want
happening.
romances at all, or do you not want romances for your character? That's the difference.
I think maybe it was just for her character, but
Sounds cool.
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Don't try
I
and
mean, romance
have.
is. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe it's not what you want in a game. Maybe it is what you want in a game. There are people in there who just want their characters to form that relationship. Full fantasy. There's a lot of romance and a lot of fantasy. They want the Arwen to their Aragorn or what have you.
Yeah.
And that's fine if they do, but you need to make that clear. In fact, that should probably be in your backstory or your private conversation potentially with the DM or GM, so they know what you're looking for. Never hesitate to tell the GM privately exactly what you're looking for in a game. Our gnome necromancer in our game we just started has this whole plan for using, zombies and skeletons to take menial labor away from the people and make life better. And he's role playing. He's like, when they hire him to do this job, he's like, I'd really much prefer your influence towards my cause. And I'm like, hell yeah, I like that. But that's there. That's something that's going to happen. As long as it's communicated, it's all good. And if anyone has a problem with it, you take it privately, and then maybe you guys come to a proper agreement, one, in the middle there. But you've got to communicate it. Communication is the key to fucking everything. Seriously.
And we had in our old in-person group, we had and fade to black.
Yeah, Fade to
Yep.
Black is another one. I'm sorry. I
Mhm.
just had a John moment.
You had a
Oh.
John moment.
Phrasing. Communication is the key
I
to
know
fucking
exactly
everything.
Yep. I stand by what I said.
I was like, oh, that one's good. I'm gonna let him finish what he's saying, and then I'm gonna laugh and then bring it up.
Yep. I caught it and chose not to address it because it works that way too.
Uh-huh.
I mean, so Lady B says if someone cannot respect someone who says no to rape in D&D game, they need to fuck off, which is absolutely true.
Yes.
In fact, I'll be honest, my ex-roommate Creamkins had a problem. She thinks that no media ever needs that subject at all, and I agree with her.
Mm-hmm.
If that's pivotal to your story, kind of a new story.
Yeah, and
Because-
that's stuff that you go over in like in the session zeros. Like, hey guys, I want to do this story, and I want to have people in it, but this is a heavy horror theme where people are going to
Make sure
be
they're good with
there's
it.
chances of people going to die and heavy
That should be in your elevator pitch.
yeah type thing. So
Yeah, expectations,
Yeah.
I
Etc.,
mean, you can
etc..
say fantasy and people expect D&D. When you play a different system, it might be a little more deadly, a little not. That might surprise you a little bit, but you got to be flexible with that. But as long as you communicate what you're looking to play, it'll work. Like the session zero, I told to Jason, who's a new player to our group. He's in our larger group, but mostly on the miniature games section. He didn't hasn't ever role played with us before, so I went over things. Stuff like, hey, if I get a rule wrong, that's fine. If it's not disruptive and you can show me right then, we'll change it. If not, show me after the game. We'll do it differently in the future.
Yeah.
And we had that first session. He was, one of the guys like, I don't think that works like you were using it. It didn't really matter though. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll read it and take a look. It's that kind of thing should be done. That's the whole point of having it. And it's more important if you're playing with people you don't know. And that's, I
Correct.
think, where these fucking, let's just call them grognards, who are like, you don't need session zero. Well, yes, if you've played with the same group for 30 years, you don't need session zero because you guys are good friends and you know each other.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're bringing new people into your groups, like you fucking should from time to time, you need to have a session zero so people can explain it. You need to bring people in. You need to expand your group. Like honestly, we have two groups of our larger group running games differently. At some point, if we're both ending around the same time, I want us to like intermingle the groups and get some people to swap so we all get some different experiences.
Oh yeah.
Now that may not happen. They may be comfortable with their group, Mike may be comfortable with my group, but
Sure.
we should at least talk about it so we keep getting people, enjoy it. Maybe Jason wants to play D&D and I know they're going to play D&D and it is very unlikely I'm going to run D&D. But
you would
of
play it.
course I would. I play just about anything. I don't really care. I don't get a chance to play almost ever.
What?
I mean, the last game we had was in person right as COVID started. And I have found at that point it was a little difficult to do online gaming. So I have not played much at all in the past, let's just say decade. That's a good round number. It's always the bridesmaid ever the bride sort of
Yep.
thing.
Well, I've been doing it all online lately, so that's why I've been playing so much. Is
Which is-
online. There is a Discord that I'm in, and we were all doing D&D, and then the guy who was running all this D&D stopped. And then we decided, what if other people of us, then Dee wanted to start running a couple games. She had never run games before, so, you know,
Oh
we
yeah,
ended up in the D&D and Thirsty Sword Lesbians games, which have been hilarious.
yeah, it's all good. But it's finding the games is tough. So sticking with the group is important. That's why communication is key. Honestly, the right lead in, letting people know what you're doing, will solve a lot of these problems before they happen. Like honestly, Kathy, the problem you had probably should have been uh, noted before you joined. Hey, this is what we're doing. We do a lot of acting out and role playing, and not a lot of murder hoboing and dungeoneering.
Yeah.
So if that's
It's
your company,
it's
like
at a point where I feel like I'm the old grognard of
sometimes you
Song and
are.
Story, where I should be ashamed of being a murder hobo if
No,
I kill somebody who's trying to kill me instead of try to talk to them.
no, you should never be ashamed for playing your game.
You know?
You play your game the way you want. Being a murder hobo is a long and storied tradition of D&D and role playing games in general.
Like, if people are attacking my character and my
Well,
character is a fighter, they are going to kill back.
a wise man once said, "If someone tries to kill you, you kill them right back."
I feel like that was Sun Tzu, because that seems like something smart.
Actually, it was Malcolm
I know,
Reynolds. Actually,
I know it isn't, but
probably that was probably more of Confucius, honestly.
anyways. No, I just get this whole now murder hoboing is bad, and it's like the stereotypical D&D, your party's murder hobos, you go raiding through dungeons, killing everything in your path unthinkingly. I mean,
If they
sure,
were
I've
civilized, they wouldn't
I've
live in a dungeon.
I've absolutely played in games like that,
Oh yeah,
but in a game where, you know, people kind of guilt you for killing somebody. Granted, it was a baby mimic.
As a mimic, mimic wants to kill anything, and so it doesn't matter.
It was a baby mimic.
I
Look,
mean,
look. It was disguised as a piano. My character didn't know that a small piano equals a baby mimic.
I wouldn't even notice that.
My character was like a 20-year-old bugbear, practically a teenager.
good lord. A baby minic's like good eating for a
Right?
bugbear.
Right? This is what I'm saying.
No Bania, no mimic familiar.
See, and that's
Oh,
just the sort of thing my friend was advocating. But we were like, I after this whole thing played out.
no,
But
see, that'd be okay if someone's like, no, I want to take the mimic and I want to raise it to be my familiar. Then the whole party should be like, all right, I'm for that.
yeah, yeah. No, it's just the player has a deep love for mimics as opposed to her character. So,
Hey, here's some funny D&D story. The amount of times that I've had to face a mimic can be counted on precisely 0 appendages because it's never.
we had
Mizzy has.
My friend Jim used to throw door mimics at us a lot. And we got to be really good friends with one door mimic
Okay.
to the point where we unhinged him and would bring him food too.
I'll be honest, that sounded like that was a pun waiting to happen because you unhinged him.
Unhinged him. Yeah. Now, so that he could escape. He like hopped. I feel like it was a Looney Tunes moment,
So like they
where
had
this
mimics,
door
like
is
the mimic couldn't change. Oh my god, that's like some evil wizard shit. There, they got
it.
like enslaved mimics that can't move, and they don't want to necessarily eat you, but they're fucking
Oh
hungry
yeah,
and they're adored. You're
their
coming through.
Their job is a door and not to let people through it and to eat them. So we were like, what if we bring you food? Because it's really difficult for me to go out and get food. So we negotiated because that's what you do with mimics, right?
No.
I mean,
No?
something I've faced precisely zero, sure. The only mimics I've faced were in freaking the Borderlands Tiny Tina's expansion, and you did not. You killed them with extreme vengeance and prejudice.
My mimic loving friend would have been so proud of us because we really were a bunch of murder hobos in that particular group. And yet, we did not kill the door mimic. We formed a bond, a strange bond with him.
Well, sometimes that happens.
But she won't live it down. She won't let us live it down that we killed the baby mimic. But I mean, to be fair, its parents were trying to kill us and eat us, and we didn't know that it was a baby.
I
We
mean,
thought it was a small piano that was trying to kill us.
look, I don't care what it is. If it's trying to kill you, kill it right back.
Right back.
That's called self-defense.
You don't just throw a baby monster in front of a bugbear and then hope that warm fuzzies happen.
No, no, I would expect the bugbear to eat it. So there you go. To sum up, you should have session 0. If you're coming into a campaign late, you should hope they give you the proper elevator pitch so that you can know what the game's about, so you can plan your expectations accordingly. And then if you have to extricate yourself, just communicate and be nice about it. Wheaton's Law comes into effect with all things. Don't be a dick. Just say, hey, this isn't my game. Not really enjoying it. I've had these experiences. There's a lot of reasons. Content. I mean, you could even be playing a game where they're not following the source material to your satisfaction. If you're playing Star Wars and it's not feeling like Star Wars, maybe you need to extricate yourself. Because even if you haven't had a session 0 or anything, by playing a existing property, you are offering up the expectation that it's going to meet the genre and feel of that particular property.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect to go into a Witcher style role playing game and to be nice and fuzzy. I expect it to be a bit brutal and grimy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go into any other game, you can expect whatever it is. You're expecting
You're
whatever
trying to
that
come
is.
up with the happy, touchy, feely kind of role playing game. Trying to think of one.
How about the
Dallas.
other end?
Blue Rose.
Or
Dallas,
you go.
the Dallas role playing game.
I was gonna say Game of Thrones. You go into Game of Thrones, you're expecting political machinations and shit, not
Yeah. And death.
just and death, not just murder hoboing around and that. You just have to have the proper expectations. But if you go Willow, you expect a little bit of silliness, a little bit of frivolity, and a little bit of romance. You expect that sort of those fantasy tropes to come through.
Or if
That's
you play Paranoia.
role playing right there. With the Willow sort of feel to it.
Willow, I think, is what D&D should aspire to in most cases. A little more high magic than Willow. Willow's a little low magic group, but
We still have magic though.
Yeah, but the overall feel of it, the adventuresome, whimsical, humorous feel, but still serious moments. So there you go. Make sure you're communicating with people. Communication's the key.
Where's our Willow role-playing game?
I mean, some things don't need it. So here's the thing, Willow, there's so little said about it. You could literally fill a small pamphlet. And if you go into the novels that came afterwards, you may or may not be pleased with where they went.
We will see, because there is a Willow TV show.
Maybe that's something I can steal for when I run a game.
Yeah. So Gonzo, there's no guarantee that they're going to use the novels
No,
to make. I've read the
no,
novels. I enjoyed them, but I also understand that a lot of people. So here's the best way of me saying it. If you really had a problem with the way Terminator Dark Future went, with its twist in the beginning, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you have a problem with that, do not read the Willow books. You will not like them.
yeah. I don't know anything about the Willow books, but I did see the promos for the TV show, and I'm interested to see it.
Well, of
It's
course, I'm interested. It's Willow. Willow's awesome. Until Lord of the Rings came out, Willow was the gold standard of fantasy movies. Sorry, Beastmaster. To be fair, though, as the being a fantasy movie for a while, I actually think Beastmaster was the gold standard.
Well, yeah, for the
It.
beefcakes with broadswords movies.
Oh yeah. I mean, let's. I mean, I guess there's a lot more D&D to it than something like Conan, which was very not D&D.
no.
The first one, and the second one got a little closer, but it was a little
Sword and Sorcerer.
sword and sorcerer. Oof.
I still have a place in my heart for that movie, and it's even worse than Beastmaster, but
It,
it's glorious.
Captain Mizzy, yes. Back in the day, our fantasy standards were very low.
That's
Okay.
true.
Like, we could not dream of a Lord of the Rings trilogy like we got.
No, no.
Like, it's so much that, like, literally Willow, when it came out, was immediately the gold standard. Nothing came close.
Yep.
I mean, woof. Fantasy
There
was
was
tough.
it was like three movies in a similar time. It was Willow and Princess Bride and Lady Hawk.
Oh, Lady Hawk was always. I always loved that.
Lady Hawk was good, but it was a little
It's more
too
medieval.
little too real worldy.
Yeah, but it was still solid.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we enjoyed the crap out of that movie as well, but I'm trying to think. Princess Bride also weird. It's not quite fantasy like we want, but it kind of is. But I mean, it's a
I feel
masterpiece
like they
also.
both are fantasy, but obviously they're just different stories or different styles.
Yeah, I sort of put Lady Hawk in with the Robin Hood type stuff, where it's a little more real worldy, which is if what you want, that's fine, but not always be everyone's cup of tea. So Mo said Willow came after Beastmaster, so it should be better quality of film. But Beastmaster is a masterpiece. Hmm.
Hello.
Masterpiece.
You know I love me some Beastmaster. I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
you've heard me say it, but I did rewatch it a couple weeks ago, and while I loved it, I would not say that it's a masterpiece. Also, neither is Sword and Sorcerer, but I absolutely encourage you to find that shitty copy on on YouTube for free, because that's the only place you're going to find it unless you watch the Riff Tracks one.
To be
Is it
fair, the
Riff
Rift Tracks
Tracks
one.
or Mystery Science Theater 3000? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know which one. I mean, honestly, like if you're on Amazon, like there's a lot of Rift Tracks on Amazon. It actually is a good way to watch a movie because
It's
it
on
takes the
there.
edge. It takes the edge off of some of those terrible movies.
Sword and Sorcerer is the Riff Tracks version is on Amazon right now.
It deserves Rift Tracks. I don't think you could Rift Tracks Beastmaster. I don't think that's really fair to Beastmaster. Because it doesn't really have any problems that are, you know, it's not in the same category as Sword and Sorcerer, let's say.
Yeah, maybe not as many crazy things.
I don't think it'd be as worth it because I mean you can only make fun of certain things so much. Like it is fine.
But when I watched Sword and Sorcerer, I had been reading through, I forget which Conan novel it was. And I'm looking at Sword and Sorcerer going, you know what? This movie is better and more true to Robert E. Howard's Conan than Conan the Barbarian movie.
True, but Conan the Barbarian's a masterpiece, even if it's not
Well,
necessarily true to Robert
it
Howard.
is. It is. But the other one, Sword and Sorcerer, watches like you're reading that old, Conan written in the 1930s kind of thing. It's got that cheesiness to it. It's very pulpy, and I
Okay.
love it.
There's a lot of those that are of various degrees of pulpiness. The whole Deathstalker series has that sort of pulpiness, though it is not of high quality by any stretch. Please don't expect that. But again, like I said, fantasy is just it was such a weird beast for so long for movies. Like it's bad enough that if that D&D movie had come out before Willow, it would have been the gold standard of fantasy movies. Just so everyone's sure about
Oh,
that. I feel like when the new D&D movie or series or whatever comes out, we're gonna have to watch that all as a group or something.
Oh, I think
oh yeah.
so.
That might actually have to be us get on Discord and watch it as a group or something because that might be the
Hmm.
only way forward. Jeff Wallach still owes me one because for his birthday we saw that in the theater. Yeah,
But if you are going to be at Adepticon, let me just rub salt in that wound.
please don't. It's gotten worse
Yeah,
since.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This week was particularly shitty.
Is
But
it media section time?
we can be. We're talking about media
Sure, why
anyways. We
not?
might as well change to that, or you're still painting, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm almost done. That's what I was asking. Almost done with
Also,
the
another double feature I kind of want to do is I kind of want to do Conan the Destroyer with the Scorpion King because those movies are cut from the same cloth.
Ah, that would be fun. I saw the Scorpion King in the theater.
I did
Oh,
too. I enjoy the Scorpion King. Is it a good movie? No. But is it a great movie? Yes. Oh no, that's that. We'll
What,
talk about.
Manion?
Oh,
What?
we'll talk about that soon. The Swordfish double feature.
I don't feel like I need to see that.
Oh no, you've already seen half of the Swordfish double feature. We'll be talking about it
Okay.
shortly
Oh,
because
really?
Hackers is
Okay.
the first part of the Swordfish double feature. Do you just want to jump in, Gonzo, and start talking about Hackers since we all watched that? Or you
oh
want to
yeah,
save
yeah,
that?
yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
almost done with this, and we'll switch to the screen. But yeah.
So the reason why why Swordfish is the other half of the Hackers double feature is because both those movies involve hacking that is in no way, shape, or form remotely like what hacking really is.
What?
Yes. I'm
No.
here to tell you, you've been lied to, and it's not like it appears in the movie Hackers. That is not how hacking necessarily works.
You mean it's not this Technicolor stream of vibrant
I mean, in
pushing around?
Shadowrun, it might be.
And Shadowrun it might be because you're jacking into a augmented reality.
Can I just say about those floating numbers everywhere thing?
I'm pretty sure that movie's where that fucking meme started.
I hated that. Every time it started doing that,
But
I
the funny thing
would,
is that's
my
the most
brain
real
would
part
go
of it.
to some other place. My brain would be off. I'd be starting out watching this little montage thing with the numbers and the floating things and the music. And the music was fine, but I would start thinking about other things because nothing was happening in front of me.
Well, the funny thing is the numbers is actually the realistic point because, like, when you're looking at code, it's sort of like all that.
That's why I don't look at code.
I mean, yeah,
That's why I'm not a coder.
or a hacker. So, for those of you who haven't seen it, Hackers is I'm going to say 1992-ish movie.
1995.
1995?
Uh-huh.
Holy shit. 1995 movie starring Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie and Matthew Lillard. We're not going to forget
Oh,
Matthew Lillard because he
he was my
fucking
favorite.
he chews fucking scenery in all the right ways. And Fisher Stevens in a non Indian face, if you will. since he was in both Short Circuit movies. And then I saw this, and I'm like, oh, that's the same guy. That was not okay. Because he is a white dude who was playing an Indian dude in both the first two Short Circuits, who plays the Plague, the corporate
evil
hacker.
corporate
Hacker.
guy.
With Penn Jillette as his random
I
buddy.
believe I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't that Penn Jillette?
It is. So
Yeah.
Hackers is essentially the story of Johnny Lee Miller, who was when he was 11 or 12, hacked and shut down 1,507 systems as his name Zero Cool. And then, of course, was sentenced to probation, could not touch a computer till his 18th birthday. Fast forward later, it's his 18th birthday. They make that abundantly clear. Happy birthday. He's a little behind in school since he's starting his senior year in 18, but that's understandable since he was, kind of in house arrest for a while. And he gets to, meet the hackers in the local city and get with them. And then, of course, shenanigans happen.
The subculture.
The subculture. This movie is to hacking and such what Fast and Furious is to driving and such.
That's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
No, Patrick Stewart was not the villain at all.
He was not in this movie.
No, he was not. It would have been great if he was, but it's not really a role for him in this. Though I could see him delivering the same lines as was Fisher Stevens, and it would have been epic as fuck. Oh.
This movie, it is the best and worst of its time.
So the reason we call it this and Swordfish are really the two big hacker movies. There are some other ones, but these are the two big ones. And this is a way more fun ride than Swordfish, but Swordfish is a much more action movie with hackers on top. I haven't seen Black Hat. It didn't do well. I don't think it's a big deal, Banyan. I've heard Chris Hemsworth is not his best in that.
Wait,
but this
wearing a shirt the whole thing?
Ha! And then you hear it. But no, this is a fun ride. It never gets too serious, despite the fact there's really some serious stuff there. Capsizing oil tankers is no bueno. But it keeps the kind of frivolous thing. It never really gets... Despite the fact that the authorities are pointing guns at people with reckless abandon, it never really gets threatening at all, and it's just kind of... it's a fun ride. The interplay between most of them is pretty good, though... the Hispanic one and Matthew Lillard absolutely steal the show. They are just fun. But you end up liking all the characters, even Joey, though he's kind of a putz.
Yeah, well, he's cute.
But it's super fun. You get this backstory. It's not deep. Don't expect deep. It's kind of a love story told in a weird way. It's very much a fucking 90s movie. Super
it really
90s.
was.
100%.
It really was. There was skateboarding and rollerblading and
Colors.
There was skateboarding so random. I was like, why is he riding behind the limousine on a skateboard to grab the disc from his hand? I don't understand.
Because it's the 90s.
Okay, I was alive in the 90s. It wasn't cool then.
He wasn't cool.
He was
That's the
zero
thing.
cool.
None of these
No,
people
that was the
were
Plague.
cool.
I know.
That was Mr. the Plague.
Yeah.
It was such the nerdiest group. I mean, Acid Burn was cool. Angelina Jolie's character was cool. She was the only person in the entire movie that was cool.
Pretty much.
Matthew
Lillard was so... I think Matthew Lillard, or Serial Killer, as his character was...
He was amazing.
He was so uncool, he looped back around to being cool.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of fun stuff. It is definitely a product of its time. Not everyone's going to enjoy it. I enjoyed the absolute fuck out of
I
it still.
enjoyed
Bane
the
and I
hell
watch
out
it.
of it. It
All
was
right.
it was funny. There were only those moments where it was just like they went all trippy with the music and the screen with throwing floating numbers at you and stuff. And I was like, can they just cut to somebody doing something now? Because I'm losing focus.
You mean the montage of Johnny Miller typing on the computer while everyone around him does other stuff and numbers flash?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just the camera rotating around him while he's,
Yeah.
and I'm like, could we just move to the part where something's happening before oh, what am I having for dinner? Let's see. What?
I mean, I enjoy the crap out of it. It's fun. I love when they have their little contest against the Secret Service head of the anti-hacker task force in their
That
area.
poor guy. I was like, that poor guy is just trying to do his job. I feel bad for him.
I never felt bad for him, but then again, I looked at this from today's lens, and I'm like, I'm not sure how many laws they just violated, but boy,
Oh yeah.
they are. Look, okay, don't look at this from a legal standpoint. It is
Yeah,
not
I know.
legal.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
That is what John had when he watched
I
Hackers
did.
today.
Actually, I started with some wings, then had some pizza, and I also
I
had some
had
little Cinnabons.
I had macaroni and cheese.
That's acceptable. Did you put hot sauce on it?
No, no.
Okay.
I did throw some sour cream in it though.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Uh,
Good.
that's sour
Good.
cream guy. But I'm glad you
Fuck
enjoyed it.
you then.
It's got harsh real quick. I have to give Hackers one space herpy just for just how incredulous it is at points. It passes the point of okay, I can go to, and it goes to like the actual fuck is going on a couple times.
You're like,
But
I would agree with that. I would give it a space herpy for that and the weird montages that took me out of the movie.
but other than that, it is totally rewatchable. It is also another movie. It's on Amazon Prime. It is one that I owned on DVD, but my ex-wife took when she left, and I'm not upset because she loved that movie more than I did. The dumpster dive. Yeah, that was really not a place to get erotic in a dumpster. I'm sorry. Gonzo, what's your rating?
I give it one of you, like you. It's just good, solid fun, but you're looking at this and you're like, the fuck? What?
Yeah. Sometimes
Huh?
you're like, the fuck? Or, it'll be a mood based. There'll be times you'll watch it and it'll be like, feel like a 3-space movie, like, the fuck? Come on, guys, that's not legal. And times you're just sitting there, maybe having a little bit of something to drink, eating some pizza, and be like, fuck yes, hackers! Which I can say is, hack the planet!
Hack the planet.
Yep. Yep. And all I could think was you can't stop the signal,
Yeah.
Can't stop
which
the
is
signal.
totally not
It
that
is,
at all.
It is
but
the same thing as hack the planet, though. It is
yeah.
the same
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
But
Who
it's
else
fun.
watched something?
I've
I
got a
watched
few.
something else. You got a few. Of course you do. You watched all the things.
All the things. Not really. I didn't get a chance to a lot this time.
You
I
didn't
did watch all of Reacher this week.
Okay.
Because John, I'd messaged John about something because I was like, I don't know about the character as much as John does. I knew of the character, but don't know the character.
Actually, I'd like to bring up what you messaged me because it's an interesting note. Is Gonzo asked this me if the character's supposed to be autistic?
Yeah, or somewhere on the spectrum because of the way the actor. Because I watched the first episode and I'm like, okay, I get this, but the way the character's acting and his facial movements and all this stuff, I was like, is Reacher supposed to be a spectrum type person? And I messaged John because I don't know. And go ahead.
And the answer, of course, is no. What you should probably do is there's a clip from the movie, since that is also Jack. They are the same character, technically speaking. That's called "Get Me Jack Reacher." That goes. It's basically the characters in the movie giving his background, and it's not 100% with this, but it gives you the whole idea. Where basically, military brat, joined the military, went to West Point, and the next time he touched the American soil was discharged and disappeared.
Yeah.
So while he's not, doesn't have any autism or anything like that, he's not necessarily a fully functioning human being in all ways.
Correct.
He doesn't know all the things because he doesn't do that stuff. But go on.
So I watched it, and after watching the whole thing, the one way to sum up Jack Reacher is everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, and that's the best way to put this series.
I feel like that's a good tagline for Jack Reacher on the whole.
Yeah. It's not a bad show. You kind of see some things that are going to happen and how they're going to happen and everything with the series. But everybody played really well off of each other. The characters all played off each other very well. There were some good, funny lines. You're like, yeah, you're going to get your ass whooped. And it's like, just everything that was done with it was done really well. Plot line, you can see how it's going to go. It's nothing new or exaggerating. It's not, in this mind-bending, mystery-solving, Scooby-Doo shit. It's
Well,
just
it all
there.
depends on how many mysteries you watch and if you've read the books.
Correct. But I heard this went really well with the book.
100% port of the first book.
Yeah, everybody says it's
updated
really
for
good.
modern technology because the
Correct.
book's like fucking 25 years old and shit.
Yeah.
But
everybody says it follows the first book really, really well, which is good. But
actually, I'll even go so far as to say Roscoe is actually a more interesting character in this than in the book.
But I watched it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Thought it was good. Like I said, the plot has a little bit to be desired in it because it's kind of you can see where it's coming, but it doesn't bring it down bad, type thing. I know it's getting renewed for another season, or it already got renewed, I believe.
It already got renewed for season 2, yeah.
Which I'll watch the second season because it was fun. It was interesting. I hope I don't know any of the books at all. I hope it doesn't involve every time we go somewhere, it's hook up with one chick and then leave the chick type thing.
Sometimes, not always.
Okay. As long as it's not that trope.
I've read the first 5 books. I mean, for a while it was, but that's sort of like the trope, though.
Yeah. But I liked it.
I
like that
Roscoe,
actor
though, because like they say something at the end about him and Roscoe. I don't feel like most of them when he's there might be something there, but never quite like Roscoe in most cases.
Gotcha. The guy that plays Reacher, I liked him in Titans, and so that's where I was like, oh, I know this guy.
I assume he played Hawk.
Yes, he did play Hawk.
Okay. I'm thinking of Titans. I haven't seen Titans, and I'm like, what role could he play? Probably Hawk.
Yeah, he played Hawk. It was enjoyable. It was fun. Didn't have any issues with it. Minor. So I give it like, a half to 1. Especially if it's not your thing. I can see you're like, kind of put off. But it's got good action, some good lines.
It is very 90s in its execution, sort
Correct.
of story-wise, because that's when the book was from.
Yeah. Very much, yeah, I would say that's a good interpretation. Very 90s TV badass with a gun and weapons and
it's a great
martial
way.
arts.
I love the character because the character is a good way to get a competent sort of police detective in, but allow him to do the kind of things he needs to do because the law just gets in the way. And it's very much a justice, not law.
It just cracks me up because anytime the scene comes up and there's going to be a big fight or he's going to whoop the shit out of everybody, in my head, I was like, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's exactly what happens in this.
And it's good because, like I said a couple times, like, Tom Cruise can run Reacher for a movie or two. But when you get into some of the books, you have to have someone big to have this consistently. Because otherwise there's some things that just aren't going to fit.
Yeah.
He backs down single guys a lot, and no single guy is going to back down by Tom Cruise, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, one of the first scenes in there, he walks up and the guy's yelling at his girlfriend, and then Reacher just sort of stares at him and eventually apologizes, like, sorry, man, I'm having a bad day. And you're like, all right. And he cowed him, and he should. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And he's got that sort of personality. But that wouldn't make sense if Tom Cruise showed up in that, because you're like, you have to guide someone smaller than him, and then it gets a little weird.
Yeah. But like I said, overall, it was good. I recommend it.
I like it a lot. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yep. Kathy, what you got?
I discovered a new Dutch TV show.
Oh, cool.
And it's called Amsterdam Vice.
Is it like Miami Vice, just in Amsterdam?
It takes place in the 80s. I only watched the first
Oh
episode. It
God.
is nothing like Miami Vice. There is no
Okay.
Crockett and Tubbs. But what it is, and what immediately made me go, "Oh my God, I have to watch this," is I watched the Bontier Mysteries, which is another Dutch TV show from I want to say in the 90s
Hmm.
and or early 2000s. I don't know. Anyways, like 20 years ago. Uh, and the main character is Inspector Ur de Cock, spelled C-O-C-K, which is C-O-C-K, and he always has to say that, like he introduces himself. That's spelled, if somebody's writing it down, it's C-O-C-K. And then they look at it like, Anyways, anyways, so he's this old guy who's been around the block in the Bontier Mysteries, which is based off of a series of novels. Uh, but in this one, it moves back in time to it has to be, I can only guess, like 1980, 85, somewhere in there. I don't know. That fits with me and the image of him just starting out as a detective in his 20s or maybe 30, you know. And then, 20 years elapses and he
Hmm.
becomes the older guy. So it's like a prequel series. Uh, and the first episode was amazing, and it had to deal with political things that were happening at that time in Amsterdam, and and that's one of the things that I like about the other Dutch series, and this one seems like it'll be the same. Is it it uh it addresses things that are happening in you know in the country at the time, and anyways, the other thing that I discovered as I was watching this is, have I even been studying Dutch? Oh my God. The only thing I can understand them saying is goeiedag, and and that's not even how I'm used to hearing it in my language app.
Well, I mean, it takes a while. There between what we call, if you will, book Dutch and and spoken Dutch. It's any language I found. I
But
know a whole bunch of school book Spanish, but when they start speaking Spanish, I'm like, whoa, slow
oh
down.
yeah,
I
it's
I
off the
don't really.
rails. It's
Yeah.
nuts. But I have a German friend who went and watched the trailer for it, and he goes, "Okay," and he knows some Dutch, and he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that was fast even for me." So don't feel about that. Don't feel bad. Oh, hey Daniel. Yes, I'm learning Dutch, and so I was watching a Dutch detective series,
Another Dutch
another
detective
Dutch
series.
Another.
detective series, and the first one, the Bontier Mysteries, I watched before I started learning Dutch, and it was actually because of that I started learning Dutch. But they took that off of my streaming station or my
Oh,
streaming
fuckers.
channel, so I couldn't watch it after I started learning Dutch. But
That's You got a
now
new one. There you
I
go.
got a new one.
And it's got the same character, so it's
Yeah.
perfect for you. That's awesome.
So yeah. So yes, Daniel, we're talking about language learning in our in our media section where we're talking about our TV shows and movies that we've been watching. So yeah, it was very, very fast. Daniel says I talk German, Russian, and Spanish, so you can practice anytime any of that idioms with me on my Twitter account.
Yeah. It,
Cool.
I
Well,
only
that's
speak
good to
English and
know.
bad Spanish, so
I don't speak German, but I learn random German words from a friend of mine when we're chatting,
they're
and that
probably
just
very
happens.
specific German words because German words I find are very specific.
They are like I think probably one of the first ones I learned was Feierabend, which is the end of your workday.
I was going to say like Schadenfreude, which is
You
one that's commonly used in other
know,
languages.
Yep.
Ah, so you're enjoying your Amsterdam Vice, which is cool.
I am zero space herpes so far. I'm only one episode in, so give it time. But I do
Fair.
plan on watching more of it this week.
Well, in a rare thing, I actually watched another movie that was less realistic than Hackers.
What?
Yeah, Bainey and I Friday night watched Predators because I needed something sort of disposable I could just enjoy. So we watched Predators, which, if anyone's keeping track, is the third Predator movie,
Oh,
unless you count the two Aliens versus Predators, which you shouldn't. If you count those, then it's the fifth.
Okay.
It is basically a bunch of special forces and others get dropped onto an alien planet and hunted by predators. It's exactly what it says on the tin. It doesn't make any pretense. All the characters are more or less archetypes, so they may not all be true to what they're saying they are. This movie's old enough I could spoil it. Adrian Brody is the main tough guy. He's kind of cool, but very mercenary. And then there's a female lead who sort of plays sort of a sniper from the Israeli Defense Force. Then a bunch of others. Topher Grace is in it as ostensibly a doctor, but it turns out he's like some sort of fucking serial killer dude. And he actually delivers a great performance that if you watch it multiple times, you can sort of catch the points where he's lying, and you're like, oh, they're not catching that he's lying here, and the bullshit he's doing. But it's super fun to watch people fight predators. There's, I mean, let's be honest, it's a Predator movie. You're not expecting a ton of character development, though I feel that three of the characters at least have a little bit of development. Adrian Brody's character, who's like the ultimate, I'm just mercenary out for myself, evolves and comes back and saves other people, which is very out of character from the beginning for him. And the female lead is very much a trying not to be that. She's warring with herself whether she's going to sit back and hide and not get killed or jump in, and she resolves that in it, which is cool. And then Walton Goggins, who I fucking love in just about everything, plays a pretty reprehensible, FBI's most wanted in prison sort of guy. And he's a bit of a racist and a bastard, and he even gets over that in the short course of the movie, which is kind of cool. He sort of gets to the idea like, hey, these things are way meaner. I'm fucking barking up the wrong tree here. It's a fun little action romp. It's not earth-shattering or anything. Lawrence Fishburne shows up and chews all the scenery as Lawrence Fishburne just wants to do. Walton Goggins is amusing. I would say the cast, for the most part, is very good, with Topher Grace and Orange Fishburne being sort of standouts for the time they're there. And a little fabricated at points. There's a scene where the Yakuza guy, when they're with the guy who's been surviving, has a katana. He gets the katana. And as they're running away, there's a nice open field, so he stops to buy them time. And you have a samurai duel versus a predator who's only got a blade. So you're like, that's a little fabricated, but my inner weeb loves it, so I'll fucking give you a pass. I think Bane and I decided that we kind of have to give it between 1 and 2, probably 2 space herpes, because there are points you're like, grenades don't work that way. And then later, but grenades worked that way earlier, now they don't work that way? It's a little problem with internal consistency, a little fabricated, but it's an enjoyable ride. I don't know if it's free anywhere. I have it on Blu-ray because I enjoyed the crap out of it. Saw it in the theater. It is probably the second best Predator movie, with obviously Predator being the best. Predator 2 being... I mean, it's a fight with Predator 2, because Predator 2 is underrated as fuck. So, I find Predator 2, and this are a perfect series to watch. You don't need Alien vs. Predator. Those movies are terrible. And I hear that the new one, The Predator, is terrible. Haven't seen it, but I might watch it if it's free on Amazon Prime. So, Daniel, there is the Spetsnaz with the minigun, and I liked him, but I thought he seemed a little less competent than the rest. It was a little weird. I don't think he was portrayed fairly. I liked the guy. I thought he was cool. He's actually the one who was protecting the doctor, who was a serial killer. Like, when I thought he was a doctor, he was protecting him. Showed more heart than most of them, but they didn't give him a lot to work with. And then the biggest sin of this movie, which I forgot to mention, is Danny Trejo's in it as a Mexican cartel guy, and they kill him first, and that's a fucking mistake. How do you kill Danny Trejo first?
Oh, how do you kill him?
I mean, it's predators. To me.
I'm pretty sure he's just indestructible.
I mean, not in this movie, unfortunately. Must have been an imposter. But again, about two spacer. It is definitely a good time. I've watched it a ton of times now, so definitely worth catching.
I was just gonna say, Mo, that I need to watch Machete. I was
Machete
just
don't
gonna
text.
say that. I glanced up at the screen, and there it was, right there. I feel like Mo might be my spirit animal.
Fair enough. Gonzo, hit us with another one of yours.
I watched it. I think it was on Paramount Plus. Infinite. Infinite is a movie with Mark Wahlberg in it. He's the main actor, and what it's based off of is, there are a group of people that are reincarnated continuously, nonstop,
Mhm.
and some of them remember who they were in their past, and some of them don't. And this is about Mark Wahlberg, that he doesn't remember that he's supposed to be this, badass
I've seen a preview
guy.
for this, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
He's a Cylon.
Cylon.
Wow. It's like,
um, Reincarnated person that's a badass with weapons and been alive for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, type thing. It actually wasn't that bad of a movie. I was expecting it to be pretty piss poor action movie, and it really wasn't bad. The action was really good. The story was interesting enough. There's two groups of infinites, ones that want to preserve humanity and ones that want to destroy humanity because they don't want to be resurrected ever again, type thing, or not reincarnated. But it is high action with technology that's not available right now, type thing. Like, this lady's driving the car and she's like, "Hey, you take over," and she lets go of the steering wheel, and the steering wheel sucks into the car and appears on the other side of the car, in the passenger side. And so Mark Wahlberg drives from the other. So it's stuff like that. Bullets that do certain things, kind of like Wanted, in a way, with that type of weird technology, bullets and stuff like that. But overall, it wasn't bad. I was pretty happy with it. It kept me entertained. Fight scenes were good. There's a little bit of special effects issues, but nothing huge. But like I said, it's on Paramount Plus. You have Paramount Plus for free. I would give it probably like
I do.
1 to 1.5 space RPs.
Okay,
But
that's a bold move. Banyan, note that movie.
it just wasn't bad. It was pretty decent. I was expecting a lot worse, being everything in there.
Also note that it's probably you've seen it already. Fuck you, man. Jesus.
Badion, what do you give it? What's your assessment of it while you're here to see that you've
Because
seen
it sounds like you had low expectations and it exceeded your low expectations,
Yes.
so you're rating it a little too favorably.
it? I probably am. I was happy with it.
It gives it a meh.
It gives it a meh. I mean, I wouldn't give it the meh, but it would be the upper tier of it.
The
Oh,
upper
Meh
tier
Plus?
of meh.
Yeah,
Meh
Two
Plus.
mehs.
too meh. A lot better than a lot of things I've been watching recently, so I'm pretty happy with it. Not a bad
It's
action
a low
movie.
bar. It's a really low bar.
Yeah.
And I think and you're probably right that I was expecting shit, and I was like, damn, that actually wasn't bad.
I
It
have a
wasn't
whole
utter
rant set
shit.
up.
It was only sort of shit.
I have a whole rant for expectations and all, but I'll save that because we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to manage your expectations.
I had zero expectations for Hackers, and I was not disappointed at all.
You wanted to see hacking and you saw hacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than
Well,
that,
I didn't get a chance to watch anything else. I do kind of want to catch up or finish, I'm not sure which is season 1 of Vox Machina at some point. They should be easy to watch because they're half an hour long, but it's been
I should
tough to
return
get
to
time.
that too. I just haven't I have been still watching episodes of Murder in the French detective show.
Yeah, and I took a little break from TV just because, like I said, a heck of a week. I am back streaming again, luckily, because I took a little break for 2 days, and now I'm back and having a good time.
Well, I know. Also, in case people haven't seen it, the Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power trailer came out,
Oh,
uh,
it did. I
and there's
caught
a
that
lot of
because of Twitter.
controversy over that. And I'll tell you right now, it doesn't give you enough to make you
Oh no!
controversial about it, but I
Oh no!
enjoyed
No!
it.
No! No! Let's address the controversy here. It's a quick rant.
Yeah.
If your problem is that there are black elves and people in your Lord of the Rings, fuck right off with yourself.
And your dwarven women don't have beards. That was the other one that people bitched about. That the
Fuck
dwarven
off.
woman didn't have a
Hashtag
beard.
not all dwarven women. Come on.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
even
fuck.
says that. It's even said that before. It's not all, but yes.
Yeah.
The two big thing is there was a black elf, and an elf that had short hair. Because there was another elf in there that had short hair, and the dwarven woman
Heaven
didn't have a
for
beard.
fun.
Yeah,
Heaven
I was
for
like,
fun.
you are bitching about the stupidest thing.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Fuck right off with that shit. I'm Oh, hold on. We have to talk about this. I know we're going over. Gonzo had Captain Izzy watch Ice Pirates. The look on Captain Izzy's face that the picture was sent to me from her watching Ice Pirates was epic. I think we have to get her on here sometime to let her tell her opinion of Ice Pirates in her own words.
I feel like yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Ice Pirates, but I love it ironically.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, the greatest horrible movie.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. It's so cheesy. It's so freaking cheesy.
And it's got such
Yeah.
good lines. Why did you make it black? Because
Yeah.
I wanted it to be perfect.
Yep.
Like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
I watched
is a classic.
I saw Ice Pirates when I was young. It was on heavy cable rotation. I've seen
Yeah.
it a ton of times.
Oh yeah. It's quite hilarious. Hilariously bad. So we'll have to have her on and she can review next time she comes on air. She can
You
review
know what
Ice
helps
Pirates.
though to watch that is if we
Alcohol?
could have watched it together. Also with alcohol.
I mean, alcohol makes movies a lot more watchable.
So,
Trust me.
There are some movies that are just amazing when you're with a bunch of people watching it. The very first time I saw The Evil Dead 2, I was with a bunch of people and we had a blast with it. And I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching things with people is a lot more fun in some cases. I was not sitting when I watched you need more drugs. You need better drugs. Oh, so yeah. Daniel has a problem because it's not part of what Tolkien wrote. It's sort of like he thought the Dune movie was a little far afield. Fair enough. We do need to watch Dune so we can talk about that, but we need to get it to a point where Kathy can watch it easily because she doesn't have HBO Max.
I need to watch the new Dune.
I do too. Let me know when you watch it and I'll watch it too. It's just a bit of a time sink and I can watch like a movie and a half in that time.
Yeah.
Or a movie and play about an hour of McWare Online. It's still on HBO Max. It's going to be HBO Max forever.
oh yeah,
Good.
that'll be there for a while.
Well, you can outro us while I find it for Bania.
Someday, hopefully, I can just rent it on Amazon for not much.
Oh, that reminds me. I have to go to the theater to see.
The Batman.
Spider-Man because it's not going to be on Disney Plus for a year plus because it's going to it's going to go to fucking Stars first.
Yeah, I've
Huh.
been hearing all kinds of good stuff about the new Dune, Daniel.
Oh, interesting. I only see the trailer. I don't see the actual movie on it right now. That's kind of weird. We'll find it.
Well,
With that said,
It is the end of our podcast.
We appreciate everybody coming on and listening and watching me paint. Don't forget to follow John so he can do some MechWare online. I
Yep.
wasn't able to do my stuff this week. Hopefully, I can get back on it this Wednesday. And don't forget to go over to Kathy's channel and watch her stream painting miniatures and reading books on Friday.
Be painting miniatures during the week, and soon in March I will be doing something extra on Tuesdays,
Yep.
which will be mentioned later when more details are available.
Finalized. Finalized. Type thing. So, guys, we appreciate you. Please be safe. Please watch what you're doing. Just check on everybody. Make sure everybody around you is safe too. Maybe we'll see you at HutCon 2022. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
Good night. We're going to send y'all off to
Bye.
Fleeger Dragon. Stick around and give her a like and a follow.
Soft Goot, Soft Lecker, Ghostidonia, Daniel.
The Last Dragon. There we go.
Oh, another great classic.
The Last Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I've seen that and I don't remember what it's about.